There
at the
you go.
cloud.
We're recording now. So
Okay.
I'll unrecord. Yeah, just hit the little blue button. This
Oh,
is an OT Association event called OT Phenomena, Gains, Abilities, and Wins. And we're just sharing wins today and talking about being OT and what that means. It's an Indie Bridge event. Let's see here. Why is this not produced by the OT Association? There we go. All right. We are available for communication at indiebridge.org. That's our website. There's a list of events, a current list of events and contact information for us. If you want to email us at info@indiebridge.org. If you have questions, suggestions, just email us. We're here for you. Even if you need something like a good auditor or know somebody who just wants in-person auditing, you can probably find someone through us. We will communicate with ourselves, with the OT Association will communicate among ourselves and find you somebody who's really good in that area. Indie Bridge is also on Facebook. Just email info@indiebridge.org and we'll get you started there. How's that?
good.
It's good. It's theta. We do not, everything's LRH related, positive theta. We don't allow disruptions, political discussions. It's just really fun. It's a resource and for sharing of wins. And we have a good time. People share some really good tech there too.
Yeah.
All right. And just so you know, if you leave before the end of this event, our next OTA event is called Staying Exterior to Political Chaos. And Trey's going to give us some tips on staying calm in the midst of the storm. All right. Yeah, yeah. It's like we discussed this topic at our OTA like steering committee meeting. It indicated so much. So that will be Saturday, September 5th, 2024, 10 a.m. Pacific time, and it will be available immediately on YouTube as soon as we can get that out there for everybody. All right. Now, here, just a reminder to participate, you can type your OT win or story in the chat. I will read it out without identifying you. So it's a private way of identifying. Or you can message me privately. Just go to chat, click the drop-down menu, click my name and tell me, type it out for me. And I'll read it without naming you, so you don't have to be identified. Or you can just raise your hand and we'll unmute you and have a good time that way. You can also speak your win if you would like that. Usually we stop recording at the end of the event for wins because some people don't want to be identified. All right. The OT Association is made up of 7 OTs: Trey Lotz, OT8, Class 9, Els Auditor; Randy Smith, OT7, Class 9, Auditor and CS, and Trainer. He's a wonderful trainer. Z Snyder, OT8, Class 5, Grad, Auditor; and Jerry Tunadall, OT8, Class 9, Auditor, and a CS. He's being trained by Randy and is really nice guy. Ingrid Hoffman, OT8, Dynetics Auditor; Greg Cohen, OT8, Class 2. And then there's me, I'm the chair, Mary Blackford, and your MC. I'm OT6, and I'm on solo knots right now, and I'm restudying my levels, so I can be an auditor too. All right. Let's roll. Today's speakers are Trey Lotz and Randy Smith, and I'm going to turn this over to Randy. Randy, just let me know when you need a slide advanced, all right? And
Okay.
Trey, yeah, can't wait to hear from you guys. The state of OT, and let's go. All right.
Okay. So thank you, Mary, and
You're
welcome
welcome.
everybody. And here's a definition from LRH on what is OT. 5, a being at cause over matter, energy, space, time, form, and life. Operating comes from, quote, able to operate without dependency on things, unquote. And thetan, of course, is the Greek letter theta, which the Greeks used to represent thought or perhaps spirit, to which an N is added to make a new noun in the modern style used to create words in engineering. So that hence we get operating fate. This is a
Just to,
partial definition. The complete definitions in the technical dictionary of Dianetics and Scientology.
yeah, you beat me to it, Randy. That is it.
Cool.
Okay. Oh, shoot. Where'd it go? All right, here we go.
Good. And then here's some more definitions of operating phaeton. Number one, a phaeton exterior who can have but doesn't have to have a body in order to control or operate thought, life, matter, energy, space, and time. And that's from a St. Hill Special Briefing Course Lecture number 82, 1966, November. Number two, willing and knowing cause over life, thought, matter, energy, space, and time. And that would, of course, be mind, and that would, of course, be universe. Number three, an individual who could operate totally independently of his body, whether he had one or didn't have one. He's now himself. He's not dependent on the universe around him. Number four, a clear who has been refamiliarized with his capabilities. And this is a partial definition. Again, for complete definitions, see the Technical Dictionary of Dianetics and Scientology.
Hey, just as a little aside, Randy, I realized last night that people might not know what the notations are at the end of definitions.
I defined
SH.
one of them. I defined one.
Oh,
St. Hill
St. Hill.
Special Briefing Course Lecture
There you
number
go.
82.
Right.
And the 66 is the year, and the 11 is the month that it was recorded. Okay.
There you
And
go.
then
All right.
C29 means copy, 29th copy.
So
Anyway,
there you have it. Some people
right.
just, don't recognize those much. So,
Sure,
all
sure.
right, here we go.
Hello, Mary. Did you disconnect from us? I think everyone else is there. Trey, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Good. Mary just got disconnected. Uh,
Ah,
so would you like to go next, Trey, and talk about,
Excuse me, Randy.
yes?
I just stopped sharing my screen is all.
Oh, that's
While
all.
I'm here.
Okay.
Ah,
Sorry.
there we go. All right.
Good. Go ahead, Trey, if you would like to pick it up there.
sure, yeah, sure. We can go back and forth on that. I'm like a lot of us, we grew up, we've been in Scientology for a while. We used to get advanced magazines and look forward to reading all of the OT phenomena, people writing up these really interesting um, things that seemed like they could even be coincidences, but they really weren't. They were based on postulates or needs or ideas that the person had about something they wanted. And one thing I noticed, which was interesting, is that a lot of times people noticed these phenomena after they happened. It wasn't that they consciously intended it to happen. They just noticed that all of a sudden they were on time for work or something, and they realized, oh yeah, because I got all green lights. And so I was reading this. I was rereading this one bulletin that I thought was very good. It's from August 10th of 1982. It's called OT Maxims,
Mm,
and and this is the key. It says the power defined as light year kilotons per microsecond. That kind of gets you into the weeds, but it's okay. It says the power of a thetan is measured by nothing else than the distance. And this is the really interesting thing, defined as a spherical spatial length. So it has to do with the space around a being uh, that the person can control. And um, so that got me back to, the definition of, the original definitions having to do with the factors. Before the beginning, there was a cause, and the entire purpose of the cause was the creation of effect. So before anything was created, there was nothing. And the first moment of creation was creating a viewpoint. Now, if you look mathematically, definition of a point, it isn't located in space or time. It isn't a thing at all. It's just a perspective. So when you have a perspective on something, how far away are you from it? You see, you could consider that you're close to it or far away from it and still have the same viewpoint. So you're not really located in space just by assuming a viewpoint. Now, in order to have a game, the Thetan uh, assumes an identity. Now, that identity is a lot more fixed. It's a lot more located. So now you're a fireman or a postman, and now you can do the things that a fireman can do. You'll be playing the fireman game. And so you start to become located to that extent. And then, and then of course, the further progression of that is you go into a body and then you become located in the body as well. So you become further located and defined. So the Thetan goes from of being completely undefined and pure quality to an actual physical identity, occupying a location in a body or around a body. So now that's important because from a location you can extend an intention, and that would be a linear energy. It kind of goes from one point out to another point. And you can make things happen that way. A lot of times things we use a beam to accomplish that. They'll put a beam out and grab something and pull it to them or push it away from them. They're pressure beams, tractor beams, and holder beams where you just want to keep something where, like your kids, stay stay quiet. Um, so that's how you can operate from a location. But when you start to get auditing and you start to get more and more exterior, it acts like reverse engineering of that process. From being located in an identity in a body, you can extrovert from the body. Now, being exterior doesn't necessarily mean automatically exterior perception, because you can be exterior from the body, still be drawing your perceptions through the body senses. It just means that your space that you're occupying as a being is not the same space as the body. Your space is bigger. If you're very introverted, Elroy says you're a small spot in the back of your skull, and the bigger you get, the more space you occupy. Now that ties into this spherical idea, because when you're exterior and you're outside your body, your space contains postulates, and it isn't that you're necessarily it's not a think. You're not thinking these things all the time. It's just something, it's a quality of your space, and your space tends to influence the things that come into your space. So sometimes things will come into your space and it'll happen when you didn't consciously intend it, but it's based on the ideas that you have in your space. Like my dad, I asked him, I did this drill with him one time. I asked him what his goal was, and we worked it out. And he said, yeah, to make the space I'm in and everybody in it a happy space. And I went, yeah, that's what he's always done. When you get around him, you feel happy. You get that with some people. You get in their space and things go right. Well, not because they're necessarily putting a think at you. It's just that that's the quality of your space. And conversely, um, like Ellerich relates it to control, good control is harmonious alignment. So if you have good control that's permeating your space, then things that come into your space will tend to harmonize and align. And bad control, if that's what's in your space, things will start to break down and get turbulating and upset. And you know this by how you feel when you're around somebody. Um, Most people are pretty neutral. They don't affect you one way or the other, but occasionally you get in somebody's space and you feel bad, and we get into somebody else's space and you feel very good. And that's just the quality and character and postulate of the space. So I think a lot of these OT phenomena that people describe are things just because they're exterior, they're occupying a lot more space than they're aware of, and things in that space tend to come under their control, and therefore they kind of go right. And uh, and then of course there's a secondary thing where you want something to happen, you intend it, and you are able to actually put an intention into something or somebody, and that also manifests itself as good control or harmonious alignment. One particular uh, win I had this about a week ago was auditing a guy who we were on knots, we're on level 5, and he'd had a lot of contentious discussions with his wife, tended to go south, and so we did some remote auditing and cleaned up an ARC break or some charge or whatever. Anyway, he came in the next day. He said, "Boy, I had the best conversation I've had with my wife since I can remember." And it isn't that she knew anything different, or he wasn't even thinking of it until afterwards, really. But it just happened that way because his space was bigger, his control was better, and it didn't get into a push-pull thing with and turbulating situation. So that's an example of an OT phenomena of being able to affect things. You like to say it's at a distance, which you can put an intention at a distance, but it really is also just whatever's in your space tends to happen in a way that's harmonious and which is pro-survival. So anyway, I'll turn it back over to Randy. That's my introductory speech to this.
That's great, Trey. Thank you. Great. And it reminded me too that I think as people uh, become aware of the theta universe and how it's really senior to the MEST universe, they start to realize things like non-locality, which the physicists are starting to talk more and more about. How, maybe there isn't really such a thing as a unique locality of things, Like they've discovered that they can separate two particles that were created together, like two light particles, and they can send them off in hundreds of miles, thousands of miles apart, and they change one and the other one changes instantaneously. Anyway, people start to experience that stuff in the theta universe because, of course, theta is senior. But I have some wins I want to share too from people that we've been auditing. One thing about OT, of course, is it really helps if you achieve the state of clear on the road to OT. And clear, of course, is when a person has become at cause over mental, matter, energy, space, and time as regards the first dynamic. In other words, you handle your own mind on your own first dynamic. Here's a recent success story from a guy in Germany that achieved the state of clear. Quote, I recently attested to the state of clear, a state I had yearned for my entire life. It is no exaggeration to say that I am a new person. However, it's more accurate to say that I am now my true self, no longer blinded or hindered by self-created illusions and auto-generated problems. The auditing has removed the sting from the bee, and all my sorrows and fears have essentially vanished. Life has never been better than it is now. I sincerely want to thank my auditor and case supervisor for their expertise and brilliance in finding the right process at the right moment using standard tech. Auditing me wasn't always easy due to my demanding work life, but this technology truly has the potential to make the world a better place. If others could experience what I feel now, I am incredibly grateful. So that's a nice success story, eh? And then here's one from a lady who was working on her OT levels. Now this gets into more of that remote effect like Trey was talking about. Here's her story. Some years ago, I was on OT7 and I was solo auditing every day, several times a day. My brother and I were not in calm for whatever reason. He lives in another state, and we had not seen each other for a while. I took some time to scan my brother's universe, and I ran a few things that I found. I ended the session with FNVGIs. A few days after that session, I get an email that was so full of ARC from him, I was taken aback. I checked the sender, and yes, it was from my brother. Now, this was a very gratifying result. Nice, huh? Yeah. Good. So there's a couple wins. Back over to you, Trey. Would you like to pick it up again?
Yeah, this one reminded me of one of the axioms, that a total ARC brings about a vanishment of all mechanical conditions of existence. So the more the better case gain you have, the more you hit these important levels of clear and different levels of OT. Uh, the more ARC you have for things, the less mechanical life becomes. So things occur that are basically quantum in nature. It reminded me of LRH. One time he was talking about quantum physics, and he says, "Yeah, they're all mystics now."
Yes. Yes.
So I think that's true. You can one of the big realizations you have on the OT levels is that there's no real difference between auditing your own mind and auditing somebody else's mind. Um, it's partly a question of manners, maybe people have considerations about it wouldn't be polite to, but you're not really invading anybody's space. You're not really doing that. You're just simply locating and spotting bypass charge. And the only thing you can really do to help people is bring them up tone. You can remove charge from their space and they can come up tone. It's not manipulation at all. It's just raising their tone. In the
Mhm.
same way, you can lower somebody's tone if that's if that's your factor, but hopefully it's not. Uh, so that's I think is important to know. That's how you influence other people simply by duplicating their space. When you duplicate their space and have ARC for it, whatever's in their space becomes less bothersome to them and you as well. So you get that kind of a very theta phenomena, again by your attention and your presence and knowledge of tech. If you're going to audit somebody, you can do that.
Yeah, that's great. And here's
I
some more
have,
wins. Oh,
oh,
sorry.
I was going to share a win along those lines just briefly.
Go ahead, Mary.
Yes, you can have a high ARC with any living entity, including animals. I seem to have quite a lot of things happen um, uh, and occur with animals in my life. One time there was a lost dog in a vineyard near our house. Beautiful, beautiful golden lab, and he was wandering around, wouldn't let people approach him. And I went out there with food and water and made sure he ate. And he was there for a couple days. And I finally just pulled over and and went over and just gotten theta calm. It's like, what's up? I got the most intense picture back. I have been waiting a long time, and this dog had been dropped off, and he was expecting his person to come back. And I finally had to call animal control because it wasn't a safe street. But that was a really intense picture and message I got from him. And he was being a good loyal dog by waiting. Another one real quick, some friends of ours found two tiny stray dogs near their house, and these dogs were starving, covered with ticks and fleas, little tiny things, about 4 months old. And we ended up adopting them. They said, "Do you want these dogs? We got three big ones. We can't have more little dogs." And we took them because we had just lost our three dogs aged out the year before. So we were waiting for the right dog to come along. That's another thing. We knew we'd find the right dog at the right time. So there's this cute little pair. They'd been out in the woods clearly for at least 2 weeks, my vet said. But they were adorable. But there's one little dog. There's something I didn't like about her. There was like a barrier. It's like it was really uncomfortable to be around. And my thought was, I don't like this dog. And I thought, no, that's not it. So I took a look, and there was a black mass around this little dog, her face and head. And I took a really good OT look at this black mass and did a couple OT techniques on it, and the thing left. And now I have this sweet little dog who was just, completely traumatized from her weeks in the woods with her little buddy Murphy. And she's coming out of her shell now. So this works with any living thing. And I'm going to turn it back to Randy and Trey here because we have people things to talk about there.
Well,
But it's with
that's
any living entity.
that's great, Mary. Very well done.
Thanks.
Speaking of the fifth dynamic, I have one too. Now, this may be quite commonplace for bird lovers, but I have hummingbird feeders all around my house, one on each side of my house, and they're quite popular. We have a lot of hummingbirds coming by, feeding on them. Well, just yesterday, and maybe this is commonplace, I don't know. Yesterday, I had a hummingbird come right up to my office windows, right where I'm sitting now, and just start buzzing on my window at me. And I could definitely pick up the intention. Hey, 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 human, we need some service here. Yeah. And and I went, oh yeah, look, the hummingbird feeders are empty. Wow. So I went out and I filled up the hummingbird feeders. But now maybe that's real commonplace, but this bird was smart enough to know where to go to alert somebody to fill up the feeders. And maybe it was because I was aware that, hey, look, a hummingbird is buzzing me, and I picked up the intention on it. Anyway, that was another little fifth dynamic win. And now I have another success story from someone who's with us today. And she is a lady who's working on her OT5. And these are some of her wins. More realization that my postulates are ongoing. I'm more able to be above needing to be in control, rather knowing that I am in control and experiencing greater freedom. By the way, she's doing what she calls journaling her wins. As she goes through the level, whenever she has a win, she just jots it down in kind of a journal, rather than waiting. Well, at the end of the month, I'll write up my win. No, that's not so good. Write them down when they happen. Okay. Then they get acknowledged and they accumulate and they expand. Here's another one. Um, Trey was talking about beams, tractor beams earlier. She says, understanding working with beams, seeing where I have sent them, and then purposefully pulling them away, and then perceiving that the person to whom I sent them now has more freedom. self-determinism, and is unencumbered. In other words, she'd had a beam out on someone, but then she pulls it back, gives them freedom from it, and she noticed that they have more freedom and they're unencumbered. Also perceiving where beams may be coming from that are directed at me and consciously pushing them back. Wanting to be rid of beams, only putting out for the purpose of operating, and then once the goal is achieved, withdrawing it. Okay, let's see. Here's another win. Having the effect of setting myself free and allowing me to disconnect from the messed environment, go above messed, and operate in the theta universe, more freedom. Seeing the confusion that is keeping me tethered to the messed universe, and then as-ising the confusion and getting free from it. So those are some of her wins while working on OT5. There are many more, but I'm just picking out a few there. Here's one final one that's really exceptional. More confirmation that I am not my body, able to stay out of it more, have less attention on it, and then much more freedom to navigate life. Okay. Trey, back over to you. Would you like to say anything more?
Well, I was thinking there might be a good time to open up floor for questions or originations. I'd love to hear about the OT wins. There's many people who've done have had a lot of auditing, done OT
Yeah, yeah.
doubles, and
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to hear
Sure.
their wins and anything that's resonated with them that we've talked about.
Sounds great. Mary, would you like to just give a little R factor on how to go about that?
Oh, oh, sure. Oh, sure. What you do is just you can go to the bottom of your screen again. You can click raise your hand, and I'll see that. I will unmute you. Hold on, got a comms coming in here. Okay. Um, I can unmute you, or you can unmute yourself and just talk amongst yourselves if you like. Or you
Nancy,
can, if you don't want to be identified, you can just type something into the chat and I'll read it anonymously.
very good. Or you can just raise your hand physically and wave it at the camera, and we can see
Gotta
it that
wave
way too.
big. I got lots of people on the screen, so
Yeah,
wave big.
good.
Oh, wait, I think, whoa, who just
Nancy,
wait? Tony, Tony.
Nancy
Oh,
waved
Nancy.
first. Yeah.
Nancy
Oh,
wave first.
Yes.
All right.
okay.
Okay, go for it.
Well, I really get the idea of your space. And I think one of the things that's really important is to let it be out there and let people into it. I don't care where you are. You can be walking in the grocery store. It's really amazing if your own space is calm and happy. You can make little changes in people. And I don't think most people are aware how much unhappiness there is out there. And you can just, by being in a calm, happy state of mind, open, you can really calm things down for people. It's a delightful thing. And if you play with it, it's fun for you too, because you'll see. I started walking for exercise in grocery stores. Because it's too hot outside. So I would be walking many steps up and down the aisles. And after a while, all the grocery people that stocked the shelves, they got very familiar with me. And there was one guy that was just crotchety looking, it's like kind of a mean face. And every time I go by, I'd always smile at him. And one day I went down the aisle and it was almost like he could not help himself but to smile and say good morning to me. And it was like, yes, I waited till I was past, but it was like, yes. So it's little things like that, I think, that you should keep in mind, because I don't think you know the power that you have when your space is clean, and how people that move in and out of it, it affects them. And the more we can do to raise the tone level, even in little tiny increments, it's a really good thing. So have at it, just share.
Very good, Nancy. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nancy. We also have Manny Robledo, who would like to share. Thanks a lot.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Manny.
I've been having wins from what I learned at the last OTA. This thing last month, and it had to do with the 888, 8008, and the certainty and the universes, the way Trey explained it, and it really hit home. Because I've had auditing through Clear, and sometimes you do the grades and you get a bunch of wins, but you don't really realize, and the explanation of what the grades do, they kind of give you certainty of you and others' universes and the mess universe. And my wins are applying it to life. Over the last month, I like, for example, playing tennis. You sometimes get involved with your opponent's universe, and really, if you just stay in the mess universe and you operate in the mess universe, it's just a little yellow ball coming at you, moving through space, and you hit it, right? You don't get too concerned of what your opponent's doing. And also knowing when you're going into other universes. So I kind of say in my retirement, my viewpoint is experiences, relationships, and learning, and maybe a little teaching. But those are the things I'm interested in, and I've been pursuing them. But relationships, you choose to go into others' universes and kind of commingle, and then maybe remove yourself from them. But you do it under your own volition, your own self-determinism. So it was really helpful, and I haven't read it yet, that chapter in 888, but just the discussion here really helped me, and I've been applying it.
That's great, Manny. Very well done.
Yeah, great.
Thanks, Manny.
Tony Zile had his hand waved a little while ago.
Oh yeah, keep that hand up. Keep that hand up. I might not catch it if you back out. You do want to unmute.
There.
Just
Is that
hit
better?
Yes,
button up.
we
That's
hear
the
you.
one. Okay.
So Randy has been, so to speak, raking me over the coals. I have to blame him for all the hard work here for quite a few months on knots. Of course, actually, he's an amazingly calm, no matter what, keep the tech going. Same with Trey. Trey's what? You dragged me through a few muddy waters for years. So here I am now, and I'm smelling the end of the new era Dynetics for operating Thetans 7, I think it is. So it's something that, like, first of all, I'm still in a speechless stage. Number two is I still got more to do, and that training of Randy would tell me, because all these wild things is going on in my life. Oh my gosh, what do? I'd be misemotional, I'll be this and that. Dead calm. And it sounds like a horrible word, but dead calm really describes having the TR0 in, being able to be there comfortably perceiving. That's just been a lifesaver for me. So we've got me up. And an example of that is we've got me up to just being able to tear along with standard tech on knots and not needing to really communicate for days on end. And I would know what I'm supposed to do as an auditor. As Trey might remember, I was always wanting to be an auditor one day. And we're talking about a lot of years here, and I never could quite get to do that. Well, here I am, being the auditor and the PC on solo knots, and it's just every day I think I go, I'm doing this, and things in my universe have been continuing to change. And I don't even know what else is going to happen change-wise, because it's, what do you call it? Things happen after you've cleared up something or rather. The cognition takes a while to get there. Oh my God, I'm bloody blah. So yeah, it's one other example would be the people around me, their lives are inching, or no, probably millimeters are inching towards a better condition because I'm in direct contact with them. That's intriguing. That's operating fate. And I'm going, oh well, me? What, little old me? Anyway, that's it. I'll shut up.
Good.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you.
Great
Thank you.
win.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tony. I have a little addendum to that, just staying calm, being able to stay calm. And it helps if you have, TRs and know what those are and everything, get some training. But I've had a couple of very difficult situations recently. One where I did have to do a few OT techniques to handle some stuff. And thanks to Randy, who sees something perfect for it. I did that. And this person I was having a lot of difficulty with, it was just no problem. It was just no problem being around the person. I was there. I was calm, in PT with this person. It was great. And then I had the other night, I had it was an Uber driver who was not in the right area, and he was just playing head games, I think. But I held my position, and we were on the phone, and I held my position. I said, "You need to come here. You need to come here. I have a person in my party who cannot walk down that hill. This person is in a wheelchair." And I was there. I was calm. I just did it. I have no bypass charge afterward either. It's
Mm,
like, okay, that happened. It just being there and being comfortable and knowing you don't feel threatened in more and more and more instances that are difficult. That's a wonderful thing.
very good, Mary.
So
Excellent.
yeah.
And that's one of the
Alrighty.
things I would like to share a win too.
Oh, could I mention one thing before we go on?
Yep.
I had somebody ask what BCR was. I don't know if they can see their messages, but it's Book of Case Remedies. That's one of the resources for the definition of OT.
Yes.
And Book of Case Remedies, BCR.
Yes.
Randy, it's all yours. All right.
People ask me quite often, so what's it like to be OT? What's it like, And they, of course, would like to hear all kinds of knocking hats off at 50 feet type of thing and so forth. And I won't say that those can't happen, but for me, some of the biggest wins are my life is basically simple. It has just simplified my life tremendously. And a combination, of course, being trained as an auditor and a case supervisor. And I've arranged my life now so that that's primarily what I'm doing is auditing, training, and case supervising people. And I mean, I'm doing what I'd like to be doing the most, what I think my purpose in life is to be doing, get tremendous satisfaction out of it. But otherwise, it's just quiet and I can just enjoy things like aesthetics and so forth. I spend a lot of time, my spare time, just listening to good music or creating music. But that's an OT win for me, and I think it's something people can look forward to as your life will just get simpler as you go higher and higher.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
it really is. I think the original source of a lot of this, where Elrich really nails it, is in Science of Survival and the theta mess theory, where the more free theta that you have in your space, theta rejects end theta and end theta rejects theta. So the more free theta you have in your space, the more either end theta disinterbulates or it avoids you in the first place. People have talked about avoiding temptation, but the more OT you get, the more temptation avoids you.
Good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, and theta also tracks MEST. Now, there's a difference between MEST and NMEST. MEST is sort of the physical universe organized for survival, and the more free theta you have, the more things tend to be organized physical universe around you, and the more you don't want or can't be around or change in turbulated MEST. And so you'll notice yourself those ratios changing as you go up your OT levels. And then another interesting thing, really, I audited a lot of people on their L's, and several people that I've talked to afterwards. I asked them, what's life like for you now after you finish your L's? And 3 or 4 people said the same thing. They said, I just feel normal. And I thought, that's a pretty high goal. Considering most people don't feel very normal, really, a lot of the time.
Okay. I've
Yeah,
observed too, as you go up the bridge, it's like you hit new normals all the time. It just gets better and better. But it's like I was telling Z the other day, it's like, yeah, it's the new normal,
yeah,
Not
I
going to
know.
bother you.
Nikki, my wife was one of the ones that said that to me, and I was thinking later. I said, yeah, thing is Nikki's always Nikki. She's never somebody else. And when you live with somebody, you notice if they're being somebody else. They go out of valence, but whatever happens, she she's still herself, and she handles it as herself. And I think that's what it means. It means that you're just confronting and handling life as yourself, and things tend to get easier, just like Randy was saying. And that's kind of like the road to OT. It's more and more free theta.
Yeah. That's
Mhm.
very good.
I've
Nancy's
noticed.
raising her hand again.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, Nancy, I had an observation about MEST and theta too. So
I just wanted
okay.
to, you mentioned training, and that's one of the things that I would point out, because if you get trained and you have the basics, even the simple basics, you know what the ARC triangle is, you know how communication works, you know what overts and withholds are, you know what problems are and outroots, and you walk through your life. Yeah, you can have a nice space, but you can start to detect when somebody else's universe is rocking in some part, you perceive it, and you know the right thing to say. And you don't have to do it in a way that's in Scientology talk. You know how to give them a tool or something just to help, and it's just the right indication. And you can help let them clean up their own environment a little bit by just giving them the space, granting them beingness, and putting just a little thought out there. And then they can look for themselves and realize, oh, I was upset about something. Oh, and then you ask about it and they'll tell you. It's knowing the basics, having that tech, that it's part of you so you can use it as a tool in your life, I think is really valuable.
Very good, Nancy. Someone had a question about dead calm. Now, the quote here is dead calm, CALM, and it's from an LRH reference on the correct auditing attitude, especially for solo auditing. So that's where that comes from. It's a dead calm, CALM. Okay, just to clear that up.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Let's see. Tony's asking to speak here. Just unmute yourself, babe.
Didn't really, boy, that mutes fast. Okay, so what Randy was saying, the dead calm, and the word dead sounds kind of gross, negative, but it means absolute, total TR0 in, you might say, training routine 0. Be there comfortably, perceiving, being aware of, and then as a Satan, we know exactly what to do because we will have all the tech we've learned that Ron has given us. So that's all. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, very good, Tony.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks. I was going to say too that I've noticed as I go through solo knots, there are things that seem to detach individually, matter, energy, space, time, and these things just start detaching. That's my perception of it. Just an observation I had.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
All right. Are there any more wins or anything like that? Any questions? I'm going to go back to sharing my screen if I can find my, there we go. Okay. Let's see here. Come on now. I moved everything around on my screen. There we are. Okay, let's get you back to there we are. Are there any more wins? Are there any more comments? Randy, Trey, anything else you want to say?
Well,
I think we've covered it.
yeah, I think we've covered it pretty well.
Okay. All right. Any other wins? Okay. It just being here with people interested in OT is a win. It's really good. So it's a pleasure being here with everybody. Do we have any questions? Any questions at all? I think we got the book of case remedies sorted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then
You corrected the date on the next event,
I
I see.
did. Why did I write September? Okay. Anyway, our next OTA event is Staying Exterior to Political Chaos. It's Saturday, October 5th, 2024, 10 a.m. Pacific time. It's not September, it's October 5th, because there is no September 5th, I observed. So yeah, it's got to be October. And we really hope to see you there. Tell your friends. You know what? Well, I'll talk to Trey and Randy about this later, but yeah, we'll get some techniques to stay exterior to political chaos. Again, here's our contact information, our website, indiebridge.org. We have a list of our events that are upcoming and contact information. Email info@indiebridge.org. And you can join Indie Bridge on Facebook if you like and have Facebook. It's really a very calm theta space to talk to other beings who are like-minded and very nice. We keep all the N theta out of it. It's great. So it's private. You have to be invited. It's not really easily findable on Facebook. Okay. So talk to one of the OTA members, Randy, Trey, me, Z, Ingrid, or Greg Cohen, and we can get you an invite. And at the very last, I want to say thank you so much for being here and sharing your wins with us. We really appreciate it. And that's it.
Okay.
All right. Yay.